Hello and welcome to Media Week. I'm Dan Murphy. Ahead on today's program, Foxtel clears the final hurdle in its bid to take a stake in 10. Plus, summer movie season disappoints, weighing on revenue at 21st Century Fox. But first, Foxtel has detailed its content highlights for 2016. The headline is they've got a lot of returning hit shows across the schedule with a handful of new programs. To talk us through this and the changing television landscape, Foxtel's Executive Director of Television, Brian Walsh, joins James and I in the studio. Mr. Walsh, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much. Nice to be here.
Number of highlights in 2016. What would you say is the main event?
Well, the main event, that's very hard to pin one particular show, but I think everyone's looking forward with great anticipation to our drama slate for next year. We decided a couple of years ago to really, in earnest, go and create some very distinctive drama properties and make a name for ourselves and be famous for Australian drama. And we've had great success with Wentworth and now A Place to Call Home. And I think for any network to have two ongoing drama series that are performing as well as that indicates that audiences are really responding well to Australian drama. So for me, those two shows returning and two brand new dramas, Secret City, headed up by Jackie Weaver, and The Kettering Incident, starring Elizabeth Debicki and Matt Lenove, to me are going to be great moments to look forward to, Dan, for next year.
The Kettering Incident you were going to have this year, you've held it back to next year?
Yeah, we have held it back. And look, it was a seasonal decision more than anything else. When you watch The Kettering Incident, it's filmed in Tasmania. It's a beautifully looking drama series. But it's one of those shows that I think is suited to watch in winter. And, you know, with all of the energy we had behind A Place to Call Home and its launch in September this year, I didn't want to distract from that focus, and so we decided to move Kettering back to a more suitable programming slot for 2016.
Yeah.
A Place to Call Home and Gogglebox been quite impressive performers this year as well.
Yes, they have. I mean, Gogglebox was a risk, there's no doubt about it, but every network in Australia was after that format, so I was determined we'd get it for Foxtel. And then we had some discussions with Channel 10 about sharing the program, and I made the decision that it was probably a prudent idea to consider having that show play on free-to-air, if for no other reason than it was a great time to expose the pay TV product to audiences who are on free-to-air television. And it's worked both. It's worked well for both of us. It rates very well on the Lifestyle channel where it premieres, and it works well for the 10 network.
Now, it gives you interesting questions follow on from that, because there's interesting business models behind both of those things. One is a link with 7, obviously with A Place to Call Home, they make it for you.
Yeah, sure.
And 10, where you share those rights. It's a co-commission, I guess, isn't
it?
In effect. Now, given Foxtel's investment in Network 10, do you think, could that spur some more of that sort of stuff?
We're open to work, James. We're open to work with any of the commercial networks, as you indicated. You know, the 7 network produced A Place to Call Home, and that again, that was a decision that we made because there was an inbuilt audience for that show. I think Channel 7 are outstanding producers of Australian drama, and we knew that there was a great demand for that show around Australia. Now, it may not have been commercially viable for 7 to continue to screen that show, but for us, absolutely. We are not as focused on the same economics that drive a free-to-air model here in the subscription world. So Place to Call Home was the right decision for us. We've sold programs to Channel 9. We're in discussions about selling product to some of the commercial networks. It's all a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, but let's explore that link to 10 though. Was that, as you're the head of content, was there things you can do more with them now that you're a shareholder? I mean, for example, there's going to be a board position. Are you any chance to crop up there?
No, I'm not. I think the businesses are very separate organisations.
So it's strategically a business investment, you think, not necessarily a content play?
No, it's not a content play. It's a strategic decision. I think it works well for our commercial sales arm, MCN, but I'm in the business of promoting and ensuring that Foxtel's a success. So any decisions we make in that space will all be whether it's good for Foxtel, irrespective of the partner.
Yeah.
And we know a number of channels have coexisted for some time. I'm looking over to Fox 8 specifically. As I understand, it would probably target a similar demographic to what the 10 network would. So do you see the two coexisting together, and any tension there?
Dan, I think that may have been true a few years ago when Channel 10 were very much focused on that younger demographic. But I can't speak for 10, but as an observer, they seem to have got a lot broader now. Fox 8, we stay very focused on that younger demographic. The window of opportunity we saw was particularly all the emerging series hits from the American CW network. And we decided 6 months ago that that was the audience that we were going to target for Fox 8. And, you know, there's no doubt that a lot of the successful shows that sit on the CW are comic book heroes, shows like The Flash and Arrow, and that's what we went after on Fox 8. We want to be known as the home of the comic book heroes, and that's why over this summer you'll see Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and programs in that vein. I think it's particularly important in the subscription sector that the channels stick to their guns in terms of who they're appealing to and what their programming offering is. You know, it's the old name on the tin. If you're watching Fox 8, you should know exactly what to expect. And that's true of all of our channels on the platform.
Speaking of channels, any plans to change the lineup? Will you be adding any new channels or removing some channels from the platform?
We're always looking at our channel offering and looking at what else is in the marketplace and what our customers may expect. So, you know, we watch with a keen interest what's happening internationally. Recently we closed our bio channel because it was a closure that was happening all around the world. Now, the group that produces bio is just about to launch a 24/7 channel called Viceland, which is based on the programming of the very popular Vice website. So that's something we may look at for next year, but we're always looking at the customer offering, looking at where we can differentiate, and looking at what new propositions are opening up on the world stage.
Brian, can I ask you as well, the Apple CEO Tim Cook said recently that the future of television will be with apps. Obviously, we've seen the launch of Apple TV in Australia. Do you see a day when Foxtel might have an app on Apple TV?
I think it's one of those things that we should absolutely look at. I don't necessarily agree that the future of television is going to be all apps. I think the future of television is going to be more fragmentation, and that will include apps, but it will also include the sit-back experience that we enjoy today, the mobility that Foxtel customers can enjoy with Foxtel Go. I think we're seeing an industry now that in an exciting fashion is evolving very quickly with a lot more personalisation, a lot more portability, and Foxtel needs to be in that space, and we are in that space. And, you know, so for us, we're looking at all forms of delivery.
One of your most successful brands has been Lifestyle, and
Yep.
you've done a few offshoots and significant programming investments, some of your new shows for next year. But do you look with interest at what SBS is doing with their free-to-air food channel, what Nine's going to be doing now with Nine Life, and sort of, do you think they're looking at the success you've had in those spaces and taking advantage of it?
Oh, no question. James, I'm surprised it's taken them so long. You know, Lifestyle's been such a hero brand for Foxtel. But, look, I wish them the best of luck. You know, competition is a good, healthy thing for the Australian consumer. But the facts are that, you know, the programming on Nine Life will be 5 years old. I notice they've promoted series like Real Housewives, and I guess if you want to see what the women looked like before Botox, you can go back and look at that show. But, you know, it's like a news broadcast. If I said to you, do you want to watch Peter Overton reading the Channel 9 news from 4 years ago, you might watch it 1 or 2 times. But in these days of social media, people want to be kept abreast of how those personalities are developing. And a show like Real Housewives or Keeping Up with the Kardashians, it's as much to stay relevant in watching those shows as they're broadcast globally to keep up with social media conversation. And so, you know, as I say, I wish them well with that show, but I think audiences are demanding shows expressed from the US. They want to watch shows with the rest of the world, and only on Foxtel can you see those contemporary shows that are running for the first time for Australian audiences. In the food space, I mean, it's a very popular genre, as you know, but I think Australians, again, want to see programs that are about Australian audiences, and our lifestyle offering is very much about local productions. The programming on the SBS Food channel is going to be a lot of American food content. I'm not convinced Australian audiences will resonate with that quality of content.
They both seem to be buying from Scripps Network, so the people at Scripps are having a real
look, Scripps are happy because they kept trying to sell us their programming for years, and we kept saying we didn't think it was good enough for Australian audiences. So remains to be seen how they'll do with those channels.
Brian, can I ask you as well, obviously there's a huge focus on how audiences are viewing content. It's all well and good to have exceptional content on the platform, but as I mentioned, how viewers are watching it is changing quite rapidly. At the 7 up front, we saw Tim Cook announce the 7 Everywhere strategy, whereby 7 viewers would be able to watch content on their mobile phone, whether they're on a train or whether they're on a bus, watch it on their iPad. Can Foxtel be everywhere as well? And what's your view on streaming? Do you see it as a threat or an opportunity?
I see streaming as an opportunity. I mean, we're streaming now, effectively. By the middle of next year, Dan, we'll have 16,000 hours of content available anytime. So for Foxtel customers, that product will be there on demand. It'll be where they go, whether they take it with them on their tablet and watch Foxtel Go. We are definitely seeing a shift in terms of how audiences are consuming content, and Foxtel's very much in that space. And if you look at movies, we offer the linear channel service, which we'll continue to do, but we also have 1,000 titles in our Anywhere area that customers can watch any time. And as I say, we're increasing those hours in that on-demand space, so that by the middle of 2016, there's 16,000 hours that our customers will be able to stream around the clock. So we're very much in that space already.
And it's the quality content that Foxtel customers would already expect from a premium offering that they receive.
There's certainly that, but it's the broad offering, it's the rich offering that Foxtel provides. And we're not being agnostic in terms of the genre that's available in the anytime space. For Foxtel customers, there'll be the high-quality dramas from services like HBO and BBC, but there'll also be all that wonderful content that people that enjoy on Arena and Fox 8. So it'll be catering for everyone.
We've seen Fox Sports has been under siege because they've had the best sports rights. So, Nine's been trying to pick off their stuff. Now Optus is getting into play.
Yeah.
Do you ever wake up at night and think, oh, I wonder what Netflix is going to be taking next? Are there threats out there for people like you who have good content supply?
Well, Netflix are on record saying that they're not going to acquire sports rights.
No, but I meant for their dramas and stuff like that. Do you envisage a day where they're competing with you on premium drama and volume of it?
Oh, look, I think there's always been competition, James, in the market. Since we launched in 1995, we were competing with free-to-air networks to secure drama. Let's move forward to 2015. The free-to-air networks are moving away from drama, and we have new players in the market like Netflix, as you indicated. But I'd like to think that with the team we've got in place at Foxtel, with 20 years experience under our belt, we've identified the dramas and the shows that we know our audiences crave. We've stitched up exclusivity with distributors like HBO, AMC, BBC. In the US alone this year...
watertight contracts? No. You can jump in.
Of course, there's always going to be competitive pressure. But, I think it's interesting to note that in 2015 there's something like 400 dramas being made in the United States. And that compares to 200 10 years ago. So the amount of drama being made has increased substantially. Now, it doesn't mean it's all going to be great drama, but it certainly means that you've got to identify what are the quality shows that people are prepared to pay for. And that's the big difference, I think, with Foxtel. We recognise that we have subscribers who will only buy Foxtel if they see a value proposition. And I'd like to think the content we've got for 2016 lives up to the expectation of our customers.
Mr. Walsh, we really appreciate your time on the program today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you.
Stay with us here on Media Week. When we come back, a new breakfast team at Today FM, plus Optus snatches the English Premier League from Fox Sports. We'll have all the latest media moves right after this short break.